in August, we'll.
Sorry, I'm just asking a question. You just tell me when you're ready to start again.
Yeah.
Okay, let me check.
Well, we can go
Just
ahead with the work session if you want.
I mean, we can go ahead with the work session because in the past, we haven't streamed it. We were just trying to honor if people, instead of coming in person, wanted to listen.
Right.
Mike's
Okay,
still
so,
working on it.
Is it able to be connected or?
It's getting closer.
It's getting closer, he said.
We're trying.
Okay. Well, I think we should move forward, those that want to join in, and maybe we should write even a quick brief of what happened before. Again, we want to throw it out there.
Yeah, we can figure out how to, depending on what the board decides, if you're moving forward, if you decide to move forward, or you don't decide, I mean, we're gonna have to be very upfront with what's happening or not happening.
Absolutely.
Well, we can attempt to record it on our end.
Yeah, we can attempt to record it on our end if we need to do that. Does
Mike's working on it, I know, but
Yeah, it's good now. We're just gonna post a new one.
okay, it should be good now. This is not turning blue yet though, so you have to start it still.
We just heard it. Did you?
Oh.
I didn't do anything.
There's nothing here. This is not blue or anything. I won't touch it though.
But it's working.
if it's working, we won't.
Yeah, that's good.
Lacey, is it still working?
Okay, checking with Lacey to see if she can pull it back up. Okay, but they said that they heard us talking, so I'll continue forward. So we were just talking about food service. The next item on my A list for restructuring, we'll have to look at, we'll need to look at some administrator and some certificated staff positions, as well as classified positions to ensure that there's designated monies being paid out for different positions. And so we'll have to take a look at that regardless and look at where we can restructure some of that. We can also, we're going to have to look at our transportation because our ridership for transportation is low. And so this provides us an opportunity to look at our routes to see if there's any space for consolidation of those routes. And then the last thing on my A list is we'll be looking at consumables and supplies, which includes technology. Looking at that. So that's basically my A list. We know that we have to restructure within food service, within positions, administrative, certified, and classified, and an opportunity to look at transportation. Okay, Cheryl, do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, I just had a question. When you talk about administrative, and certified positions, can you reduce someone's salary and keep them in the same position? Or do you have to eliminate complete positions? Or what are our options when it comes to that? I know the master agreement limits some of that and the funding limits some of it.
When it comes to certified, we cannot, or classified, we can't go just certified. We cannot offer anything lower than what they had on a contract this year.
Okay.
Give me a
So
second.
going
But-
forward into the next contract year.
Depending on the type of contract. they're
Depending
on,
on the type of contract they're on,
and they can be reassigned.
and they can be reassigned. So those are the things that we'll have to take a look at.
And with the reassignment, their pay could change.
No,
If the
Only-
contract is up.
only if their contract is up.
Okay.
There's lots of rules and guidelines.
Yeah, well, I know there's the rent and the master agreement, like all sorts of
Yep.
stuff that do that. So I was just trying to figure out if you can offer someone their job that just cut their salary, or if it's, but a lot of times be on a one-to-one basis, depending on how they're funded and what their contract is like.
Yeah. All right, anybody else have questions before I move to our B list?
Sounds good.
Okay, so the B list are things that we'll have to consider should the board decide not to run a levy, or if you decide to run a levy, we'll still have to take a look at regardless. If it fails, sorry. So things on the B list are, we can freeze pay. I feel like I'm yelling because you're not right in front of me. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm yelling.
Hey, Sharon, it actually is a lot better. Cheryl's hard for me to hear a little bit. You're really clear. Maybe that's with, but
Because I'm yelling, okay. Okay, so on the first on the B list, I said is freeze pay. So we can freeze pay, we just can't take it backwards. We can freeze hiring and reduce staff by attrition. And when you say attrition, that means people who are retiring or people who have other life events and they move on due to something in their own lives. We do know that benefits are going to see an increase next year, so we may have to pass some of that benefit increase cost on to staff. We may have to move some certificated staff back to the classroom. We would have to perhaps look at reducing our number of EAs and then look at combining administrative assistant positions between people. We may need to consider outsourcing things like grounds, custodial, and food service. And then we may need to take a look at eliminating non-reimbursed transportation. And by that, I mean extracurricular busing and athletic busing, because those are things that we do not get reimbursed for. Those just come out of the district's pocket. Other things that we could consider are a pay to play, because all of the costs associated with athletics, your athletic trainers, your referees, that all comes out of the district coaches above and beyond that. None of that is reimbursed. I've had Lisa looking into the possibility of delaying the science adoption and doing only a pilot for the 2020-21 school year. We'll need to evaluate all programs and departments because we would need to reduce our budget by a minimum of 10%. And then the last thing that I would suggest, if we don't run a levy or it does not pass, that we look at a 4-day week, because you can save 20% right off the top from transportation and food service by not running on Fridays or Mondays, whatever day of the week you don't run. So those are my A and my B list. And again, A list was what we need to do anyway, regardless. We were going to have those conversations because a restructure needs to take place due to the fact that we've been running deficit for 3 years, overspending for 3 of the last 4 years. And then should you decide not to run the levy or the levy wouldn't pass, we would need to do A plus a combination of those B items too. We'll have to take a look at all of those more intricately once we decide what we're doing. So Cheryl, do you have anything that you want to add to that?
No, unless I have specific questions.
So what questions do you all have?
A question I have, Sharon, is, so you put those in the B list, if it doesn't, we choose not to move forward or the bond or the levy fails. Are these some that you're only considering if that's the case, or why would we put not in the A if you're considering moving certified back to the classroom or outsourcing if it's more beneficial for the district?
So we definitely can. Yeah, we can definitely look at that. And on my A list, that would be part of the conversation with administrative and certified staff if we had to move people back to the classroom.
Okay. Okay, so I'll hold off for a second.
What other questions do you have? Any of you have?
Well, him to talk a little louder too.
Sharon, this is Derek.
Yeah.
So, to me, and this is just my opinion, but I'm all in agreement on the A list, B list thing. Okay, looking at refining certain things. I agree. The serving trays and the breakfast, and looking at transportation on ways to be more efficient, stuff like that. But in the overall big picture, this is a Band-Aid. This is totally a Band-Aid. So, I mean, just to say, not only am I extremely disappointed that the levy didn't pass, being that we were the only levy in the entire state that didn't pass, and we were one of the smallest levies. We're one of the fastest growing areas. And because of different individuals in the community and stuff like that, a lot of these people that are voicing their opinions on social media and stuff have no clue what really is going on. And to be honest with you, I don't believe in our lifetime we will ever have the opportunity again to be able to move and be so fortunate that we have bond money that we can move over to a levy that's going to increase and help us with the maintenance, help us with this so we don't have to cut staff and everything else and not increase taxes. That's unheard of. And we have the opportunity and we can't seem to get it pushed through enough to get people to understand that this is a blessing, that we get this opportunity to be able to do this. I feel we're going backwards right off the get-go. We start cutting programs. We go to a 4-day week. We start this pay-to-play stuff. When other districts that we are neighboring are not doing so, we're falling even further behind. Whether it's technology, whether it's pay-to-play, the 4-day school week, and what have you. I feel like we need to be focusing on, okay, how are we going to get this levy passed? How do we make it right? Obviously, it is right. We're not increasing taxes. And to get this so we don't have to cut necessity programs, keep up with the technologies we need to do. I totally get refining and doing more research and, consolidating certain things and stuff like that. But I just feel like almost everything that we've gone down on this list, especially the B list, we're going backwards.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion.
Thank you, Derek. No, and we appreciate your opinion. And we did have a levy page on the website that was showing people they could do a levy calculator to see how their taxes would be impacted or not impacted. We had a list of FAQs so that it showed pie charts of Middleton taxes and what goes to each, how it was breaking out for schools versus police, fire, etc. And then we had a chart showing the breakdown of what comes to the district. I know we could have done a better job of getting that information out there. So should you choose to push the levy forward again, we will ensure that that is out there for people to know. We have had several, my guess is between who I've heard from and Cheryl's heard from, at least a dozen people who have offered their assistance if we were to run the levy again to do a community group like Nampa had called the Yes Group or something.
Sure.
So I think there's some options should we choose to run the levy forward, because the unfortunate piece is no matter what we do off of that B list, it'll be our students that are impacted.
Absolutely. Well, and also too, a lot of the same individuals that are not for the levy and everything else are the same individuals that are going to be sitting in our boardroom at meetings wondering why the classroom sizes are increased. We're down on teachers and everything else because we did not pass these certain types of levies and make these different changes. That's the downside to it.
Yeah, and we're trying to really figure out how to be more transparent with everything. I know Cheryl has offered that if people want to come in and go through budget with her, whether it's line by line or just big questions, she's more than happy to do that. I think we have some sessions that help explain the budget to, whether we put something online to help explain budgeting and what that looks like. There's certainly things that we can do there. So yeah, what are other of you thinking or questions you have?
Give my 2 cents. I appreciate Derek's thought, but historically, we've wasted a lot of money in different areas too. That's in my opinion. And the public, I agree. Some of them don't want it, but some of them are not informed. And I get that maybe on their end, but I believe as a district, we could do better informing. We need specific areas as to where this money is being spent, and not just we need this money. Well, nobody that runs a business that's asking for money, say, just give me money and I'll use it wherever we can use it. Well, no, I wouldn't vote for it. So we need to give the public a better understanding of where this money is being spent. And there's a lot of trust, and I've talked to Sharon about this, within the whole district. You've been here in the past, you know what trust. And so people will rely a lot on trust. If they can't trust what we've already done, and they've seen money go by the wayside that should never have been spent, they don't trust the system, and I get that, Derek. But we have to know where the people are standing, and a lot of people are standing against it. And so how are we going to better inform them as to where that money is being spent? And in my opinion, none of us, I don't believe, would use any of our money allotted if we didn't specifically know where it's going. And just ask the public to trust us, well, that trust has been gone for a while, and we're slowly building that back. But I think we have to let them know specifically, and I know, Sharon, we've had conversations that we need to do a better job, and we need to put filters out there, but we live in a widespread community that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people aren't on Facebook. There's a small minority on Facebook or social media, but they don't understand of why we need this money and where it's allotted for if we don't give better information and more specific information. That's my standing on it. I mean,
Yeah, no,
I
I
agree.
agree. We need to be able to do that.
so with that in mind, you guys have specifics, I mean, if you ever get with Blue, because I still have never received anything, and so I know we need maintenance to height. I still have never seen numbers as to what exactly does it need, and where does that money look like, and how much do we need to spend there? I mean, do you guys have that in hand, or, because I honestly, in my opinion, how I run my own budget, I'm not going to be willing to spend if I don't know where we're spending it. I would like specifics as to where, I'm not saying down to the, obviously, to the minute penny or dollar amount, but if does the height need $50,000 or $80,000, I mean, what is specifically, and $80,000, and then where is that $80,000 going? Is it to redo air conditioning? I mean, what is it specifically going to, so that we can show the need to the people, say, this is the breakdown, this is exactly where this money's going, because we need it at this school, because A, B, C, D, E is falling apart. But just what we need is the height for renovation, I think we've got to be way more specific than that.
And I think we can break it down to say certain things like that. And yeah, go ahead, Derek, and I think I heard Alicia too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, well, isn't, after you've given us these lists, repairs isn't even on the list that's been considered or not. So for after this conversation, my thinking was, even if we pass the bond, there's still gonna be cuts. Like the bond, I haven't even heard any talk of fixing stuff. So even with the bond, we still have to figure out how to do the renovations and make these cuts. And that's a little bit misconception that I had. I thought if we had the bond, everything else was fine, and the bond would be for curriculum and would be for fixing. But after this conversation, if I understand correctly, that's not even part of this discussion. The part of the discussion is, if we don't pass the bond, here's our A and B list. If we do pass the bond, we still have the same list that we have to deal with, regardless of what the repairs and stuff are. Is that correct, or
So,
did I misunderstand?
and it's levy. Let's make sure we use the right
Or,
term.
sorry, levy.
Levy.
Yeah.
Yeah, my A list are things that I would have come to you at the end of my year and suggested this regardless, because I think there's some things that we can do restructuring wise to help us out. If we run the levy for what's been in the budget, the 1.3, that just helps keep us where we are. If we decide to put it on for the 1.5 again, that extra 200,000, or however that whatever the actual number is,
Well,
go ahead, Cheryl.
sorry, can I answer just a couple of questions? I mean, we are continuing to work on kind of that 1, 3, and 5-year plan. We intend to have Design West come in to do the facilities review again, which is required by the state. And Blue is working hard. I do have a preliminary list of items that we know that we want to get repaired this year or summer, and we feel right now we have the money to do some of those. We know we still have some facilities money in our 410 fund, which is from the sale of that property last year. So that's something that I can list off some very specific items that we have some estimated pricing. The fire suppressant at Purple Sage, really to finish that, to get those pipes is about $80,000. Heights, excavating off that dirt that's on the berm. We resolved one danger area. That actually was less money than we thought it would be. It was about $1,000. We're looking at probably another 20 to resolve the dirt around the rest of the building. And the reason that I hate to throw numbers out there is a lot of that work needs to be bid. And we will be, getting the cost. But the biggest issue is being able to determine what are safety issues which have to be repaired and are immediate versus stuff that we can budget out through our facilities money. And once now the security system is completed and all of that, then we can really evaluate how much money we have left. That's something I would be coming with part of our budget preparation to come to you. And the inspection and evaluation by Design West, we met with Benetton and they recommended that we use Design West to do it because they have all the historical knowledge on the district. So we can give the list of the patch stuff, that Blue works with every day. But as far as what our long-term or even our, 1 year, 3 year, we need to get a more professional view. I think Blue's done an incredible job, and we've actually accomplished more with less money than I thought we would be able to. But I do have a stack of estimates and things that way that I feel would be piecemeal. That's why we didn't really include this in here. That is definitely still part of the conversation. And some stuff we're going to have to find money to do, regardless of whether or not we have the levy, because it's their health and safety issues, and that we would incorporate that into the budget planning with and without the levy. There's some stuff we know we can delay, but there's other stuff that costs more in the long run if we do delay. That being said, as part of those inspections is going to help give us information to plan over the next few years for any kind of, bonding or new construction or major improvements. Anything that we can do within our budget right now, even with the supplemental levy, is really repairs. It's not going to be improvements. It's going to be keeping the building safe and keeping the roofs and HVAC systems operating. The fire suppression is a pretty high priority in case we would have some kind of failure out there. I know Mike's working with Blue still on the speakers and emergency lighting and things like that. I know Blue's had an inspector here the last 2 days, so we really still are gathering information, but we will be bringing more detail as we go through and work through every program that we're going to have to do for the budget prep anyway. We will be able to give you very specifics on the facilities. We're hoping to be able, we will have a few $100,000 still left in facilities. So we'll be applying that and factoring that into what we would come to you as a board.
And that's from the sale of the land last year.
That's from that land sale. And that money cannot be rolled over into the operating budget. That has to be set aside for facilities. So we want to use that wisely because we have no way to increase it or put money back over there unless we were to transfer it from the general fund or pass another bond. So, my plan would be to work very closely with you guys on what we need to do and when it comes to facilities.
Did that help Mary Ann and Alicia?
So you're kind of giving me an overview of what, but we really don't have specifics because we haven't had any bids done on anything to know exactly what these cost. Is that what you're saying, Cheryl?
We have gotten some quotes where, estimates just so that I can try to figure out what we can go ahead and do by the end of the year. We have dollar limits that if projects look like they're going to be over a certain dollar, we have to go to bid, and we don't want to disclose the quotes because then our bids are going to be right in there.
Right.
But I certainly can share that with you guys individually or whatever. And like I said, the fire suppression, the problems at Heights, we know we have moisture issues over there. We have HVAC and roofing issues at the middle school. Those are kind of the top. The hazard lights out on, in front of the high school, we had to go ahead and get those done. Blue was in today asking about what we're gonna do for gym floors and all of that sort of thing. That's all stuff that's kind of ongoing. But yes, right now, those are the health and safety issues that are still kind of outstanding. Specifically are Heights and Purple Sage, and then the middle school is falling under those. And some of the roofs and HVACs are big dollars. That we'll bid.
So you're saying the 1.3 that we were asking for did not include these things. If we'd asked for the 1.5, that would include the maintenance?
We were hoping to do additional repairs with that increase in the supplemental levy, yes. And that specifically was the roofing, HVAC, and Heights and Purple Sage. That's how we come up with that number.
Okay, so then can you give me exact specifics as to what that 1.3, tell me exactly what was going into
That
what
has been,
direction?
that has been for the last 2 years incorporated into our operating budget, right? So we have never tracked specifically what we spent out of local tax money versus state funded money. But I can tell you that the state, we spent about $2.2 million more than the state gave us last year in 18-19. Okay, we did a report due to the state, which I'll get to everyone. We should have probably incorporated that. And that's a public report. So we know we received about, I think it was about pretty close to 1.4 million in taxes because of penalties and interest and things that came in on that supplemental levy money. So we can say that we know we spent every bit of the 1.3 plus additional. That's why we went into fund balance last year. So to be able to say, well, this is exactly what we spent on it. We don't track funds that way. It all goes into one pot and then we distribute it out. But in identifying if we had to cut 1.3, that's the A and B list that Dr. Reberry was talking about. We really, in order to maintain our 5% fund balance, need to cut more like, 2 million or 2.2, close to our 10% of our overall budget. And maintenance and items would have to be deferred other than what we would have to do for health and safety. The state requires us to pay a certain, put a certain amount into our facilities. And so we would continue to do that. So I know that's not, I really can't tell you exactly what the 1.3 was spent on. I can say that, it's been incorporated for the last 2 years of when it was approved, and we know we're spending 80% on salaries and benefits. So if you took 80% of the 1.3, there's just not enough room in the budget to cut out the 1.3 right off the top without it affecting personnel and students, because we just don't have enough in our supplies and purchase services, which include transportation. Transportation is the biggest one line item that we have, or other than salaries and benefits. We spend more on busing than we do even on power and gas and everything. But, and I know that's what makes this conversation hard. We don't say, okay, Cheryl's salary is paid out of the supplemental levy. It's just all put into one and we pay it. And I've really tried to research the last 4 years since the 15-16 year, and salaries and benefits have been our biggest area of increase, and that should be the case. That's our people, and that's who have the most direct impact on students.
Cheryl, do you know how much we got capped at for transportation? How much we're paying above the cap for our transportation?
Yeah, we have it it's a huge spreadsheet. I think we're going to be at about 250,000 over our reimbursement this year. That's, I think, on my first cut.
I just was curious to how much they reimbursed us, and then you think we paid about 250,000 over that.
Oh, I have specifically, just a second. I can tell you how much we paid over for 18-19.
And then for transportation, do we have options, like, is it in policy or law somewhere? I know there's laws that say you have to bus kids this so far, but are we busing kids that technically we shouldn't be, or do we have any wiggle room on transportation?
I think there's wiggle room on transportation because actually our rider count is down, which is meaning that more people are taking their kids to school versus having them ride the bus if they are able to ride the bus. And so that's why the suggestion to look at the routes and see what we can consolidate if our ridership stays so low.
I know that we kind of have talked about this in the past, but a lot of those close ones to the high school is just if they have to cross that main road and the curve, something to do with the sidewalk. I remember looking into that at one point because some of those kids that live
Yeah.
relatively close right there.
That's the safety busing that we have to do when there's unsafe, when they're close enough to the school, but it's unsafe, the environment's unsafe for them, like no sidewalks or the highway. So,
Okay, back to transportation, Marianne. We received $1,120,554 from the because transportation was a year behind. We spent $1,619,527. So we spent $500,498,000 more than the state gave us
in transportation.
18-19. Now, part of it is just truly non-reimbursed, right? Because of extracurricular field trips that are non-classroom oriented, athletics. About 75,000, I think last year was totally non-reimbursed. Then we're discounted based on how far above the state average we are. Well, you have that much. I didn't print that big.
Do you know how much allotted that we use for like extracurricular or like?
About 70.
I want to say,
I
yeah,
think I said 72,000 when I just went back and pulled out non-reimbursed spending out of my plane from last year.
By non-reimbursement, so is that for field trips and extracurricular activities, that's the non-reimbursement?
Correct.
I mean, is that what it's classified under?
Yes.
yeah, it means,
Anything that isn't instructional. So they changed it and they said a field trip that benefits the classroom as part of instruction, they will reimburse us at the 85. But if it's for, let's say, end of school year field day and they're taking them to the park or walk as a reward, that's not reimbursed. Any transportation to athletics is not reimbursed. Band competitions that are outside, let's say, they won state, so they got invited to go play in Utah, none of that is reimbursed. And so I just looked
And then
at
I know from moving from the call of transportation from Middleton, that was more money.
huge increase, but we knew it, right? Apparently,
Yeah,
when we went to contract.
Right.
Right.
And we didn't have any other options, really.
Right.
Or,
And what-
I think we did do, I think we did have it bidded out, but still Caldwell was our best option.
Right. And what's hurting us is our cost per mile and cost per student is way above the state average. So what the state does is they calculate and pay everyone based on that average. And if you're over, they reduce your reimbursements. So they may give us the 85% and 50% on the certain miles, and then they dock off the top based on what you are over the state average. And Darren knew it was coming, right? He knew we were going to hit the cap this year in 18-19, and we did. And we hit it by about 250,000.
Do they ever really look at that? I mean, I don't, so maybe explain that better. I don't really understand that. What do you mean? Like, I mean, we're in a rural area. Is it how far we're driving and for kids that we're picking up or how, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
we're not a,
It's all of the above because we have such a big district miles wide. But honestly, the biggest problem is the low ridership. Is we have so many parents that take their kids to school because it's extended so many miles, right? I don't want my kid on the bus for an hour, so I'll just drop them. I used to do the same with my kids. I would drop them off at school and then they would ride the bus home. Well, we're
you're still
fortunate.
getting,
we're fortunate here to have maybe a higher percentage of stay-at-home moms who transport their kids. So that is something we really need to work with public transportation. And honestly, with us already new, that has not been an area. We need to be looking at our routes. We need to look at our school boundaries, which is also a very difficult conversation with parents, right? When you start saying, hey, we could.
Right, because
We
honestly, all I care about is they're overfilled. So if even if 90, not 90, but a large percent are taking their kids, we're still at capacity.
Yeah, and
That right with us.
And it could be that we say, listen, we need to add more routes so that we lower the crowding on the bus or shorten the routes. By adding more routes, you shorten the routes and more kids will ride. We need to really be asking our public why they're not riding. And that's something that
Absolutely.
I've done at the
And talking
district.
with Caldwell, the district, they should be, hopefully we can work in conjunction with them and they're telling us, okay, you've got this X amount, but we could take another driver and do it half the time if we go to this stop and this stop instead of doing all 8 stops.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that'll be something that we sit down with
We're gonna
AJ and her team this spring to look at.
Yeah, we'll do that regardless of that conversation.
Yeah. And that was part of that, that A list, when I said transportation, just reviewing routes for opportunities, so.
I just think that this is my concern, is here, I am full board that we are in areas of grave danger of what we need for the district, the district not only going backwards. But I still feel that the public has to have a complete picture, and I don't know how best to go about that, because we're not even getting a complete picture. We don't really know what things will be, what it will transpire to. And so, I'm about it, but at the same time, there's ways that we show the district and the taxpayers that we're cutting, not that we want to, but that we're taking it seriously. I don't know what it's going to entail. I just know that a lot of people aren't happy because they don't know, A, and B, they don't trust. So those things, I think, B, we're building trust because we're looking at it and we're trying to do the best that we can and to maximize and cutting things and realigning things and doing all that we can on our end. But as far as, I don't know how we're going to portray to them or get out to them what we don't know 100%, but they're going to feel the same way. I don't know. I just don't know what that. I really don't. I just don't know how we're going to portray that to, and what's going to be any different now other than having foot soldiers. We're not giving them any different information. That's my concern. We're not giving them any different information. Yeah, we can go about promoting it in different ways and do better that way, but what's the information? That's the great.
Yeah.
We have to know.
And Marianne, I agree with you, this is Cheryl. I feel that we need to make the commitment to do that. That we will work together as a team and we will communicate. We'll actually have maybe some open public meetings and put it out on the boards and say that. I think we need to work with, administration and members of the board to identify some specifics and be willing to publicize that. I think we owe the kids, my opinion only, please, no disrespect at all, is to ask our public for that and for us to be willing to present to the public why and what we're talking about. And I don't.
Right, and I agree, but we did this 3 times last year with a bond that continued and continued and continued to fail.
A
We tried to
bond?
hold open forums. The people
Yeah.
aren't wanting to change unless we're willing to change.
Right.
And we never cut anything, we never realigned, we never tried to look at things. And I'm not saying I'm wanting a Band-Aid because that's not the direction I want to. But I'm saying a majority of the people that are here and have been here have seen this trust. There's just not that, and I applaud, big time applaud both of you and all of you for doing the very best that you can with what you've been handed. But at the same time, I think we need to make real assessment. I agree, Cheryl. We owe it to the kids, but we owe it to the people that are willing to put the kids first and making those changes. And so I'm just very, very concerned as to what's going to change. The people have spoken; they don't want it unless there's changes. And I don't know how we're going to relay that unless we give them absolute specifics to saying, this is what we're using it for, this is the direction we want to go. And it's just a hard fine line right now for me, if I don't know those specifics myself, to be able to convince the public that that's what they need to do. And we say that we can't, we can inform and we can, but they're out there asking us. They know, and they know our demeanor to where this is going. So I just don't know how we're going to change that. And maybe it's just me, but I don't know what the other board members feel, but that's just me. I've been around for a while and I know the talk. And I know a lot of people say they look on Facebook, but I'm telling you, 90% of people aren't on Facebook that are out there feeling that they don't know what this information, they're not seeing where it's going. They've seen the track history that's already happened in Middleton, that we've wasted lots of money. And yet, I mean, those are just great concerns that I have. That's it. I'm all about the kids. I hope you know that. I will do everything I can to push forward on behalf of the kids. But there are changes I see, and I appreciate Sharon wanting to make those changes and realign things, because I think those are important to show the people. So that's my sense.
Well, thank you, Mary Ann. Anybody, oh, go ahead, sorry.
It's Kirk. So Cheryl, if I'm looking at your numbers, we have a budget of X, and you're dividing that out by teachers, busing, lunches. So the pool of money that you're breaking out, has been broken out, is one, what the state gives us. Two is the 1.3 supplemental levy. And three is about $700K in deficit spending. Those are the three components that make up the budget. And what you've basically been telling us today is that
We also have to take into account federal money, Kirk.
Not in the
Okay.
general fund.
State.
Not in the general fund, but
But yeah, what he's looking
Yes.
at from the budget.
so A is
Oh,
state and
gotcha.
federal money. You're saying if we do a $1.5 million levy, that still leaves us with $500K that you have to cut from the budget, which is basically on your A list of stuff, maybe may even lead it to B, but even if the levy passes, because of deficit spending with 3 of the last 4 years, we still have to cut $500K.
Correct.
So,
It actually, what we also need to do is look at projections of how to get our fund balance back up to meet policy of the 5%. Right? So we may actually need to cut more than that, or we say, okay, we're gonna cut about that, and then we'll have a plan over the next couple of years to get the fund balance built back up by continuing, monitoring, keeping the expenses flat or cutting additional.
good. So we're gonna cut at least $500 million out of the budget no matter what.
Correct.
And we may be doing $2 million if the levy doesn't pass or we don't run it.
Correct.
So, and then if we're needing specifics on exactly what's gonna get cut, we take a look at the budget right now and whack 2 million out of it. You pick your spot, right? If it's pay for play, free salaries, free staff, take attrition, don't have nurses, don't replace the nurse, negotiate with part of the benefits that the teachers might have to pay, outsources. I mean, it's kind of getting the idea.
Right, it's a combination of all
So-
those things. Mhm.
So what's the next step with you two in your budget process?
Don't need it.
yeah, I'll let
Speak to
Cheryl,
that.
yeah, go ahead. I'll let her speak to it and then,
Well, I think regardless of whether, the move to the levy is that we would start a series of meetings and planning sessions with the program directors and administrators to really, we've already asked them to look at, everything in their buildings to identify, make sure that they understand what each person is doing, what each, program is doing, what we need, what is critical. We've already asked that and have those conversations started. Because we really have a short window. We have to go to public hearing for our budget in May. So that is the next after spring break. I've already asked the school secretaries to stop spending, to get everything in for the 1st of April, so we can try to project how we'll end the year and what we can save and not spend. And then I guess my recommendation would be to then have another committee, which would encompass 1 or 2 board members and administration, to say, this is the direction we want to go. We do feel that we're going to impact employees. We are going to impact staff. So we want to understand and look at areas that we can do that through attrition. And, we still don't know what our state funding is going to be. We don't know our cost of our insurance increase. We believe that there is an increase. That's the rumor. Until we get all this information, which really will be the middle of April, maybe into the 2nd week or 3rd week of April, then we've got a short window to get a budget, and we cannot budget in the deficit. So we will be coming to you both in committees and as well as to the board as a whole, and the supplement. And really the position is, if we choose not to rerun the levy, then we'll do 1 budget. If we decide to run the levy, we will be doing 2 budgets, because we have to assume and be prepared for the levy to fail. But I think we want to, in this process, will give us much better tools to be more transparent and open with the public of how the money is being used. Because we only have so much time to get this out to the public, for hearing and for adoption.
So to answer Mary Ann's question, we should have the actual X's and O's by the 3rd week of April.
I would say it's probably more like into that 1st week of May. But hopefully, I think we would have to make sure we have it before the levy, before the election, so that the week before, we can be very specific with the public. We will have both budgets done by then. So it'll be specific, because we have statutory dates that we have to have our budget approved. So I think it'd be the 2nd week of May.
Yeah.
Do we have board members that want to work with Sharon and Cheryl?
And we can only have
Right, but
2 of you.
Right, we can only have 2, and you're saying if we get it the 2nd week, we have basically a week to get it, push out the information that we're gonna receive with specific information. In my opinion, is that realistic?
Well, we'll be trying to do it along the way as we go, I think.
Yeah, we'll have to start this afternoon pulling things together.
Well, it's gonna be
it.
That's it, really, the week after spring break is when everything will gear up. And, because, like I said, the secretaries, everybody's really working to get all of their spending wrapped up. Because then, we were looking at being 6 weeks to the end of school. Teachers, everybody should have their spending done. Now this throws a whole wrinkle into it, right? But that's still my timeline, regardless of whether we have school. And so far, the state is, working with us and being pretty positive that we will be kept whole through these closures, and that our funding will continue at least through the end of this year, for this school year. So, the timeline for me is the same, but we'll do 2 if we don't, if we decide to run the levy.
I feel like we owe it to our students and our teachers. I agree with Derek, and I also really agree with Mary Ann that I personally feel like we owe it to them to try it again, but I definitely think that they need much more specific information. to be supportive. But I'm nervous if we don't try at all, that we're gonna lose some of our really good teachers, we're gonna lose students, whether it's homeschooling or other districts. I mean, they can go down the street and make more money. They can go across to Oregon and make more money. They can work at Amazon and make more money. And it makes me sad to think that the amazing teachers that we've had here for so long, you know, that's their best option moving forward. So in my mind, I just feel like we owe it to them to do our best to try one more time, to try and be transparent as possible. Let's get the information to them as fast as we can work those budgets out and, you know, do our best to invite them in and get that information out to them as much as we can nail it down and just give it one more shot and see what happens.
I totally agree with Alicia and Mary Ann on that, especially on the latter part of the situation with teachers going elsewhere and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'll volunteer to help you gals out, Sharon and what have you, to, you know, run numbers and whatever we need to do there. I'm more than happy to help. So,
Okay, well, we'll put Cheryl and I will be on it, Derek, and then one more board member. Anyone wants to volunteer? And I can't do the look, no eye contact thing because I can't see you.
Briggs or Mary Ann, is there interest from you guys?
This is Briggs. I don't have a ton of interest, and I could say that for the simple fact of what's transpired. I mean, we had a really good turnout as far as votes, probably the most that we've ever received in the levy. And I think the public is sick and tired of how we've been spending. So I think we need to make sure, I think we need to definitely make some cuts and make some adjustments on our end in the budget to prove to the community that we're able to ask for something. I think all we're doing is just continuing to ask until it gets approved. And I think that's how it's going to play out again. I think people are going to get sick and tired of seeing this come up without any changes. Like, I think people want to see a budget, and they want to see a difference in cut and how we're spending that, because I don't think we've been spending it very well. I totally agree with Derek. I think it puts us behind the 8 ball, but I think that we have to prove to the community first before we can actually get our horses lined up. And I don't think we've done, I'm not saying with this administration, but I don't think we've done that in the past. And so I think there's a lot of cleanup that you guys are being asked to do, but I think that's part of it. I think we have to clean up before we move forward. And that's just how I feel, just based off of the conversations I've had with individuals. There's been no adjustment whatsoever. It's just been ask. And I think they want to see a little bit of trend.
Well, that's what I was asking you to do as part of that budget trim process. That's what I was curious if you were not, I wasn't worried about supporting levy one way or the other. I was wondering if you would help Derek and the administrative staff go through the budget, see where we were going to trim the $500,000 and maybe $2 million, whatever we do. But if you want to be part of that budget process,
I'm totally fine being a part of that process. I think it'd be, I think it'd be good.
Okay,
so we get Derek and Briggs to be part of that. Because if we do this right, we'll have those numbers and, you know, working through, we'll have a good idea. We'll have to start to do something, I think, from you guys at the end of April, and then we have to prove something before May, before the election even.
Yep. So we'll pull together that committee, knowing Derek and Briggs. I'll reach out to you, or Cheryl will reach out to you so we can find time-wise. We won't do it. We won't have the first meeting until after spring break, but we'll reach out and get some things set because we will have a couple of our administrators, at least one other director on there.
Any other questions before?
Okay. Any other questions?
No, we can't move forward with making any decisions as who's gonna do what, but are we all in agreement that, I mean, are we having another meeting to then make that to make that decision, right?
We have-
Or not.
We have a board meeting at 2:30 because we have to decide, today really, we have to decide if we're going to run a levy or not. Because it has to be to the county by Friday.
So with no real hard numbers until between now and May, and we're gonna run the list, I mean,
Well-
I worry, I really, really worry. But I can give my, I guess, 2 cents in our discussion for that, because I know we can't decide who's gonna do what here, but I just think, so the best informed is what we've had, and you have no other concrete information that you can give me is what, I mean, I get it, I'm so, it's infuriating to know 5 years past that we have been behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, I mean, Cheryl and I have had those
That's just-
discussions.
That's really, really disheartening for what was put for us in the past. And so that's really hard. And so I think it's gonna be a hard sell for the public to know that we've changed that. And I'm not saying, Cheryl, this has nothing to do with you. I want you to know that. I appreciate all that you're doing. But there's been such a stacked track record. And now where we're at, and yet we're willing to ask for more. That's just really hard. That is really hard to go out to the public and sell that. And without us, I'm grateful that we're getting a committee together to look at the budget. And Cheryl, I'm serious. I appreciate all that you've done and are willing to do. You've done it above and beyond. And it's just so disheartening as to what we've allowed in the past because we put trust in people to make it happen. And it's just disheartening.
So I agree with you wholeheartedly, Marianne, as well as Briggs. But I mean, my thoughts are this. I understand that we have, in the past, we've asked and asked, and there's been no cuts and stuff like that. Is it worth the risk? This is what I'm asking. Is it worth the risk of us potentially, with the cutbacks we're going to have to do if we do not put this levy back there for another vote? We're going to lose some teachers. It's almost a certainty. We're going to lose some good people. Everything else with some of this restructuring and stuff like that, can we ever get that back for one? Now, I believe this, and I might be totally wrong, that if we can get together and get the specifics dialed in on this is exactly where this money goes, then I think we have a better chance. I'm not saying 110% that, hey, this thing will just fly with flying colors. No, because of what has happened in the past. But at the same time, going backwards does no one any good. It's hard to catch back up, and sometimes you never can. I mean, we're already on the low end of the district as far as pay is concerned and stuff like that, and keeping good people as it is. And maintenance-wise, what we need with this 1.5 million, if we don't have that, where are we gonna be for the next go-round? Our buildings aren't gonna just stay the same. They're gonna get worse and worse and worse and worse. Our teachers aren't gonna stay the same. It's gonna go down and down and down. We're gonna continually lose good people. Where does it stop and where can we do that? My concern is if we go down the road and say, hey, let's not do this, let's show the public, let's make all these cuts. Well, if the kids are the ones that are affected the most, obviously, for us to prove to the community that, hey, we know how to make cuts, I feel that if we properly do it, that we have a better chance of saying, okay, this is where the money's going. We're already gonna have to make cuts, so we're gonna be able to see that, okay, at the time, but this is where the money's going. And it's not like, you know, we're going backwards. That's just my own personal opinion. I think if we don't at least try with specifics, not like we did last time, but with specifics, I feel that we still need to go forward with it.
Okay, well, thank you for this discussion. I don't mean to cut you off, but we do have a board meeting starting in 3 minutes.
Did you want to mute for 3 minutes? Everybody take a quick break and then,
Take a quick bio break and then we'll turn back on in 3 minutes.
So do you want to
Sure.
stay on and move, or
Yeah.
do you just call back in?
Either way works.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll call you back in.
Okay.
Okay.
And we'll just
Thank
mute on
you.
our end too. Thanks.
we just leave it.
You,
Don't shut down the stream or anything. It's working, let's just leave it.
special board meeting is good.
We'll just restart. And go on.
Is it on mute?
I think I pushed the red button.
Are you making sure it's on mute, Mike?
What's that?
Are you making sure it's on mute? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You're good. Right here. There you go.
I'm here.
Alicia,
I'm here.
Briggs,
I am, yeah.
Derek,
Yes, ma'am.
and Marianne. But Marianne, if you're there, I don't know if you're muted.
Oh, wait, go ahead and call.
Kirk, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Okay, hear Mary Ann ding back in. She said she was gonna hang up, so I don't know if we should wait a minute or we should just go ahead and, call the meeting to order.
Your call. You could give her another minute.
Give her a minute.
That's all, I just want to make sure that we're live on the ring.
Yeah, and we're checking that we're live on the other end too.
Okay, I just make sure we got our technicalities. That sounds like her.
Mary
you
Ann?
on?
Yes, I'm here.
1 second.
Perfect, thank you. All right, Kirk, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to call this special board meeting to order. Do I have a motion?
We don't need a motion to call it to order.
We don't?
To approve the
Okay.
agenda.
I can put that in there.
But Kirk, you do need a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, yeah, do you have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
Alicia, was that you?
I'll second,
Yes, that was me.
Okay. So Alicia.
I'll second it.
Got it.
Okay, we got it. Thank you. We're just double checking on our end to make sure we didn't hear incorrectly.
So I guess we can take the pledge of allegiance. I have a
Well,
flag in my office.
You
Do we
need
dispense
to,
with that, or do we,
approve the agenda. You had a,
all those in favor, we have a motion on the floor. Versus, to approve the agenda, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Aye. Motion passes.
perfect.
Okay, we can move forward with pledge of allegiance, or we suspend, do we have a,
Yep, we can do the pledge.
okay?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one action item on the agenda. And that's a decision to make. Do we go forward or not go forward with the levy? Do we need that motion before we have discussion, or do we have, we can't have discussion without a motion, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
Correct.
So I would move that we approve the levy to go forward on the May election.
That was Alicia.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. I'd like to move to discussion about running the levy. Again,
Mr. Chairman, can I start with discussion after making the motion, since I made the motion?
Yes.
today you can.
Thank you, sir. I would just like to, I think we owe it to our students and our teachers to move forward with this, knowing that regardless if it passes or not, we're gonna be making cuts, whether that's 500,000 or 2 million. I think that we can do a better job of educating our communities, and preparing, in the process of preparing updated budgets, what going forward is gonna look like. To help build their trust, and I think that, we owe it to our community and our students to ask the community one more time to support us.
I would like to, first off, say I appreciate all that you're doing, Sharon and Cheryl and everyone else, and all that you've been handed with and to move forward, move this district forward. But I believe, and as a representative of my constituents, that a lot is spoken, and I think a lot are broken on the system. And And I think we have to do a better job of building that trust within the people that put us in these positions. And they have spoken the last time, and I think, and it has nothing, in my opinion, I love this district, I love these students, and I love the teachers. They are what make this district. But at the same time, there's been a lot that's happened in the past that has not earned the trust of the public. And I think we have to rebuild that. And I think that continuing to ask for it, I don't want anybody to suffer. But sometimes we have to trim the fat to know exactly what we have and the good that we have. And I think there's areas that we have to trim and to build that trust back in the district. And so I just think that to continue to ask when we don't have concrete specifics in place before we are moving forward. Yeah, we will have them, but we don't have them. And I think that at this time it's just best that we show them what we can do with what we have. And I don't want to lose any good teachers, absolutely not. But it might happen, you're right. We've already lost a great deal. And it just, I just don't know what's going to change for them to know in a month's time. If we don't have specifics to give to them until the final end, I think we have to prove it. And as a representative of who I'm over, and I've watched the people and I've talked to them, I saw exactly what happened on the ballot. It's hard for me, but I love this district. I really love this district, and the community has spoken though, and so we've got to do a better job, a lot better job.
I agree with you, Mary Ann, in regards to that we have to do a better job, absolutely, in prepping our constituents, knowing what's going on. I don't believe we did the proper job this last go-round. I do disagree, in my opinion, that we are taking a risk because we are already going to have to cut even with the levy. Even with the levy pass, we are still going to cut. If the levy does not pass, we are going to cut deep. And the problem of it is we have the potential to lose some very, very good teachers and some good employees that we've spent a lot of time trying to maintain and get. To me, I think that is a risk, and we may never get that back. That's why I feel that we need to move this forward. Do we need to do a better job? Absolutely, and that's the whole reason that we are putting together the programs right now, that by the time the vote comes around, we will have those specifics this go round on exactly what those levy funds will be going towards. So even though we are going to make some cuts, it's not going to be potentially some serious deep cuts that we may not be able to recover from.
And I appreciate your thoughts. I really do, Derek, but we've already lost a lot. We've lost a lot of great people. And so for this community to build that trust, we have to do within our means. And I'm not saying, I agree, we're going to go deeper, but sometimes it goes to the rock bottom to build back up. And I'm not saying that I'm just saying for what we're at and where we're at and under the circumstances of this country that as it is and moving forward and what we've seen and what's happened in our district, we have to prove to people that this is our job to do the best we can with what we have in our means. And I get it. Some things are out of our control. They are absolutely out of our control. We can't do anything about it. But I believe that we've done this. We did this 3 times last year and we didn't do any changes. Until we make changes, I don't believe they're going to trust us and say, okay, well, I believe Trustee Blackwell and Trustee Moore, this is what it is. Well, no, until you prove to me that's what you're going to do, they're going to trust us. And I'm okay with that. I want to prove to them. I want to prove because we have the right people in place now that will prove to them. And I don't want, you're right, I don't want people to suffer. And I hope that this doesn't portray that. I don't want, because I love our teachers. I love the kids. I love everything about, I want this place to nothing but flourish. But sometimes it has to go backwards before we can move forward in the right direction. And I just don't think they've spoken. Until we make those changes, here we're going to slap it out again. And I could be wrong, and I hope I am. I honestly goodness hope I am. But right now where I sit today, I don't believe. I've got to know the specifics. And I don't believe I can make on behalf of the people that I represent, a well-informed decision when I don't have the specifics right before it to say, let's just do it again. Let's just slap it on there until, let's do it again until we don't know specifics, and let's do it again anyway, and then we'll know specifics.
Well, that's part of it though. We just had an hour and a half discussion on this, on how we can make those specifics become real. And that's the whole purpose of even myself being pro for putting this back on the agenda again and putting this up for a vote again, because we are going to see the specifics. The downside to what we're doing is, I agree with you, sometimes you have to take a step forward or step backwards to move forward. But how will that step backwards affect the students? Which is number one. It's not the constituents, it's not who's in my zone or your zone or Alicia's zone or whoever it is. It's not the constituents that are in the zone, it's the students that it's going to affect. If we keep losing teachers, and yes, I agree with you, if we have to cut deeper, and we've already lost a lot of good people, but at some point, you've got to not lose those good people and continue to build up what we have and not lose what we currently have. And I mean, that's the catch-22 of this whole thing, is I agree with you that in the past, you know, the 3 times last year and this first go around, we presented it. I mean, that we are, you know, on the surface of this thing, we're looking a gift horse in the mouth, because we have the ability to move some money over from the bond side to the levy side without 1 ounce of increased taxes. That's never going to happen again. Do we have to do it right with specifics? 100%. I believe we have the opportunity to do that. And with the board members that are going to be working on that, with Cheryl and Sharon to do that, to get those specifics, I think we need to give that to the constituents. Now, if they choose not to down the road, and they vote this down again, well, then we have to do those deep cuts anyway, and then we're going to see what those effects really are.
Yeah, I appreciate your thoughts, Derek. I really do. I'm not saying my constituents, I think that the people as a whole, we saw what they wanted. And 4 times in a row, how many more times is slack in our face do we need to get before we figure it out? I get it. We take that risk. We put it on there, we just throw it on there. But I can't, as a holder of this district as one of 5, feel that I've been very informed. I know exactly where it's going, what's coming. I can't. I don't know. So that's the risk that we take. But that's the risk that we all have, and the choice that we choose to make. It's really hard for me right now to be able to do that with what has transpired and what the people have already said. I get we may never have that again. We may never have that opportunity to be able to transfer those. I get that. But at the same time, we run the risk. I want the trust of the public within the system. You're right, it affects the kids, but those kids, parents that live in this community that don't have the trust. And so I don't know, it's just hard. It's hard for me to move forward and swallow and say, yeah, I'm absolutely on board, because I know exactly where these funds are allocated from and where they're going, and we're cutting this and we're cutting that. Well, we don't know. We have sat here an hour and a half and chatted about it, but we still don't know. We're trying to, we're going to put people in place, and I appreciate you and Grace to want to do that. I really do. I appreciate that, because it's going to be deeper and more understanding of more people involved. Cheryl at the head of it is going to be phenomenal. But until we can prove that, it's just hard. And we can battle that all back and forth. I appreciate and I respect your opinions. I really do, there, because I really want it for the kids. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's all for the kids. But sometimes we have to realize what we have and prove to people that put us in these positions, and they've already said no. So let's prove to them what we're going to do. And that's my 2 cents. I appreciate everyone. I really do. Cheryl, Sharon, I hope you know that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your opinions as well.
We look at where we sit today, we're gonna make a decision to either run it or not. And today where we stand, we don't have the budget numbers to make that decision, so I don't think it's fair for us to actually make a decision today to cut the budget by 2 million. I think with the work of Briggs, Derek, Cheryl, and Sharon, I think we will know before the election, or before the levy election, where that status is, and I'm more comfortable having the patrons make that decision than just advise us today to cut the budget 2 million. Cheryl, I appreciate you giving us heads up of where we're at in the budget. I know you've dug through a lot. Sharon, you put this team together. We asked you to not make changes for the first half and get your feet on the ground and deal with the past and move forward. I think we're there. I was uncomfortable with the idea of running a levy again without any information to the level that Mary Ann is asking for. And I'm very confident that with the work of Briggs, Derek, Cheryl, and Sharon, that we will have that. Can't see the line item of where we're gonna cut, either not just the 500,000, but the 1.5. We'll have 2 budgets to look at. We'll have to approve those budgets before the election. So I think given that, with as much information as we're gonna have come available with these 2 budgets, and with everybody that's involved on the team today, I'm comfortable that we will have good information and the public will have a chance to make a clear and concise decision with a complete set of facts. And I think that's a good way to go. I also think there's a chance that the election, there's already talk that it could be, by mail, given our current situation. Nothing's being decided yet, but that discussion's in play. So I think that would help to even make it easier for more people to vote and not be inconvenient. So I'm trusted in the committee of Briggs, Derek, Cheryl, and Sharon to provide us information we need.
Well, what I think, if we can actually get information out, and I mean right away, with the fact that we are going to crunch numbers and that we're putting a committee together, and if we can get people that have an interest or an understanding in some of these specific areas that can help us be a part of that committee, then I can get behind it. But how we approached it last time without any information, we were kind of left in the dark a little bit. And I think as far as informing the public, I think that's where people were rubbed wrong, because they weren't informed, even up to the day. There was not that much information. I know that it was posted at the schools and stuff, but those that aren't part of the school that still live within the community, I think we need to do a better job of trying to include the public in all of the information that we can get. And that being this committee, I think it's a great idea. I can get behind that and support that if we can legitimately start from today informing the public, this is why we're going to rerun it. And we're putting a committee together, and we need people that have an understanding in transportation, or an understanding in this, or this, that can come together with us and make an informative piece that we can give to the public well in advance. I just don't think I can get behind something if we're going to wait till the last minute to do that. And I know we've been talking about that we're not going to. I just think we need to definitely, our newsletters need to be talking about it and what we're doing. And I think that needs to be weekly. And I think any of these Briggs schools that send out information need to have information about the levy and what what we've accomplished that week towards it. And I think that will help the public make an informed decision. And I can get behind that. I can support that. But if we're going to handle it the way that we did, I think, you know, I think all of us would be a no.
Well said.
I'm still
So I guess you're on and
struggling with the fact that, I mean, we've been slammed 4 times. And I get that we're gonna move forward, and I appreciate you, Briggs and Derek, wanting to do, how are we going to, when's enough as far as saying, right now is not the time? I mean, I get it, we need to put it in the public hands, and that's why I was so, absolutely, let's get it to them this time, let's get it to them with this last study, I want it, I hope we can push for it. But they're speaking, and what are we gonna do different? Yeah, get them more information, but truly, what are we tangibly going to do different to build that? To know that this is what we're allocating and we're using it to the best possible that we can. Because it's not.
Well, you're going to have a budget. The difference in there is you're going to have a budget. It's going to basically have to be done, and it's going to be, there's going to be 2
We've had a
budgets.
budget every
With
year.
Cheryl.
We budgeted for 5 years. So now we're saying for those last 4 years, our budget was not good. So here we
Right.
are once again. If anybody's listening, our budget 4 years ago, for the last 4 years, before we brought Cheryl, was not good. So what's gonna change in their eyes between now and May to say, just because you now are gonna have this in place, I'm gonna change my mind? I don't think so. And I don't, that's where I'm just struggling. I just want you guys to know, I love it. I love this, but I'm just struggling. What's gonna change? I appreciate you're gonna give them information, but what's gonna change?
Well, there's going to have to be some serious changes.
I know.
I mean, we already know that.
I did.
So that's going to be shown that there's going to be serious changes. And that's with budget A. And then budget B is going to have even more serious cuts. So I think when you can show that, I think, Cheryl, if we can get that panned out as far as how it's going to look, and we can get a committee together as soon as possible and start addressing each one of these concerns, each one of these target areas that we're going to have to cut, then I think that's all you can do.
I guess Cheryl and Sharon, you can hear the board, like, we can't support this without a line item of budget that we feel that we can deliver to the people. And we need your commitment that with the help of this committee and Derek and Briggs, that we're gonna have something, and we're gonna have the help of our buildings to push out updates of kind of the direction we're going. So do we have your commitment?
Yes, you have our commitment.
Yes, there's
I
no
mean, I don't want to
question.
be the sour grape of the group, but it's hard for me to jump on the vine. It really is right now. And I don't want that to be a direct shot at you, Daryl, or you, Sharon, by all means. By all means, and I trust everything but that's the problem, is I had trust in the last, and we were in the red when they came to us every year. I mean, I've been a part of this board for 2 years, and we put the trust in them, and they came to us, and we've had audits that we are good.
Well, Cheryl and I will give our word that we will pull together budgets to make it clear, budget A and budget B, and help anyone who has questions understand. Because for us, we're learning a lot of, alongside you, we are learning as well. So. Is anyone there? Our line went dark.
There you go, Derek. We might have been at time. What time did we get on?
One.
Just have to call again.
Oh, what's the number?
Same number.
I don't know it.
It's 208
That's funny.
373
What time did we start?
Oh, what is it? Go ahead.
208 373
Hold
9902
on. Okay. 208.
373 9902.
What did we do?
Do you have to hit send or anything?
Welcome to the conference server. You are now entering the conference. There are 3 more participants in the conference.
Mayor, but
Okay.
also too, Mary Ann, you're saying, that, like you just mentioned, that Sharon's gonna do a good job with it. Part of the reason we're doing this committee is to get actual specifics. We're gonna have exactly what Briggs just talks about. We're gonna have line item by line item, this is where the money's going. This is plan A, this is plan B. We're gonna have 2 budgets to discuss, and which direction that the public's gonna vote on is specifics. It's not gonna be, hey, we're just gonna allocate this money to this zone, and this is how, and this is what, hopefully we'll do a good job with it. We're working down line items to get specific on if it's Highlands needs this, if it's Mill Creek needs this, if it's the middle school needs this, or what have you. That's where we're going with this thing.
Right.
So the public will know where this money is going.
But as the
And this is
we
Kirk, I
don't,
got flipped off for a
we
minute.
approve, we move forward, right, Rick, you guys can let something out today, but we don't know. So if we don't know, but we're pushing it, say, I promise, we'll know. You do? See, I don't know. People are gonna be like, are you kidding me? You just approved something that you don't know about, but you're tell us that you will know.
We're not approving anything. We're not,
Yeah, you are.
Mary Ann, we're not approving anything. All we are doing is voting to let the public approve this or not. We are not approving anything. We are gonna get the facts to the community and the public that's gonna go out and vote to approve or not approve. We're not approving anything.
Not improving anything, I'm just saying, proving to them where the money's going, that we, as of right now where we're sitting, we don't know. We really don't have a concrete answer as to where the money's going. So once we come out of this meeting today, let's just say it goes through, okay, but they come to us and say, where is that money going? Well, I don't know, but we will have it. Well, what do you mean you don't know? You just approve something that you don't know about? That's all I'm
Okay,
saying.
we need to change the direction of it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to, I promise you, I'm not. I to see it from the outsider's perspective, of all the stuff that I've heard and I've seen, and I've been on this board in the past. And I'm not trying to take what's in the past, I want to move forward, but I'm seeing the repetition of what's happened, and we aren't proving to the people that we sit here on behalf of, that we're moving this forward. That's all I'm saying, and I appreciate it, you guys are awesome, I'm serious, these are just my thoughts that's been wrapping my mind on moving forward. That's it.
And Marianne, and the rest of the board, I wanted to reiterate that if anyone has certain questions about any part of the budget at all, they're more than welcome to call Cheryl, come in and sit down, and she's offered to sit with people and go through things as well. So if people have questions before the committee finalizes its work, Cheryl's more than happy to do that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I just want to say, I truly believe this board's working. I think we have 5 people that are engaged. I think we hired Sharon. I think Sharon, you put a heck of a team together. You told us when Cheryl came on, she was going to be a rock star. I think we evidence that we're moving that direction. So I just think what's different is the 7 of us talking today. And I think we're headed in the right direction. I think we can get to where we need to get. Are we there today? No, but I think we can be there well before election time. And I'm very positive about that. Any more discussion? Seeing none, I think we should probably, given we're on the phone, we should probably do a roll call vote.
Okay.
Yes.
So are you calling for the vote or do you want to?
I can.
I think we should move forward with the vote, don't we, and then do roll call, or? don't we
Yeah.
have to go out to the vote after?
I think if people were dropping the call, if they wanted to see, we don't have to do a roll call vote. I think you just need to make sure everyone's still back on the call before we vote.
Do you want me to call each one?
Yeah,
let's
let's,
call.
we'll go ahead and call you, make sure that everybody's here.
Trustee Moore,
Yes.
Alicia, Trustee
Yes.
McConkey, Trustee Blackwell,
Yes, I'm here.
How do you vote?
I think she's just calling them right now.
We're just roll calling right now.
Trustee Briggs,
Yeah, I'm here.
And Kurt's here too.
all right, thanks.
Okay, everybody's there.
So we have a motion on the floor, no more discussion. There's a motion to,
So call for the vote.
the call for the vote?
Yes, and do you want Gina to reread the motion?
Yes, please.
I think Alicia did the motion, and essentially
And Derek seconded it.
to,
Move to approve. the
yeah, to move to approve the resolution for the supplemental levy in May 2020.
Given that we're on phone, I think we should do a roll call vote. So if you could, Gina, if you could take a vote.
All right, Trustee Moore,
Yes.
Trustee McConkey,
Yes.
Trustee Blackwell,
Nay.
Trustee Adams. Oh, Trustee Miller,
Why vote?
Trustee Miller,
Yes. Yes.
Adams is a yes.
thank you.
Motion passes 4-1. We have no other items of action. Do I have a motion to end the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Aye. Thanks, everybody, for taking 2 hours of our day today. Be safe.
I appreciate
Thank you.
everyone. I hope you know that it's nothing personal.
No, we completely understand, Marianne.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Executive or no, is that on the?
No, we don't have an executive today.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.